Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Data Cloud Now. I'm now delighted to be joined by Andy Mott, Field CTO at Keboola, along with Tomas Trnka, CDO at Carvago. Gentlemen, great to have you on the program today.
Great to be here. Thank you very much.
Andy, Keboola streamlines data integration, automation, and governance, reducing IT workload and enhancing security and compliance, all resulting in value for your customers. What trends are emerging from your customer base?
So I think there's one big trend, and that is what we tend to call the long tail use case. So you can imagine in an organization, let's take an e-commerce website where they're interested in things like customer lifetime value, customer journey, maybe recommendation engine, maybe some logistics. And these are what I would call like the key initiatives of that organization. But then we have maybe someone in marketing who comes along and says, actually, I'd like to know how much like weather, for example, impacts whatever it is. And maybe we don't have weather we don't have that weather data available. So what they will do is they'll create a ticket, it will go on a backlog, and at some point in the future, someone will do some work. And what we see is that time is becoming just onerous. It's becoming too long. So we see these long tail use cases where people are able to bring in their own data, maybe from a website, maybe external data, etc. Bring that together with the data that's already in a platform like Snowflake, make a decision as to whether it adds value, and if it does, operationalize it very quickly. And if it doesn't, then let's remove it and move on to the next thing. We're not suffering that time penalty of kind of waiting on a backlog to get access to that data. So this idea of almost self-service data management on top of a platform like Snowflake, I think is kind of one of the big trends.
Great to hear. Thank you, Andy. And it's so great to be joined by one such customer in Carvago. Tomas, with more than 2 million cars, you bring new markets, new customers, and new opportunities for the purchase and sale of used cars together. How does your data strategy supercharge your community of buyers and sellers?
Right. So actually the whole Carvago company is a one big data product, right? It's a data monetization at its best. It's very nice that you're taking publicly available data, the used car listings all over Europe. You're just putting it together. You're cleaning it. It's in various languages, etc. You create added value by combining all these data in Snowflake and presenting it to your customers or your potential buyers. So imagine you would like to buy a used car, but the top 3 candidates, one is in Sicily, one is in Spain, and the third one is in Sweden. So what do you do? Can you speak these languages? Like, there's no chance, right? So that's our added value. I really, really love this data project. So I've been through a lot of projects, but this is really the example of data monetization and creating added value based on publicly available data. So I really, really am proud of what we're doing at Carvago.
Thank you, Tomas. Great perspective. We're currently at Snowflake World Tour in London, and the ecosystem is all around us. How does the AI Data Cloud power your collective insights? Andy, let's start with you.
So I think having a very powerful, scalable, easy-to-use platform, which has got a plethora of amazing services, really enables partners like Keboola to provide solutions to kind of our joint customers and solving their kind of business pains. And so I think we are seeing a real interest in building apps that meet the requirements of workflow and very specific customer requirements, and being able to build those very quickly, being able to deliver those very quickly. And the reason we can do this is we can make use of that as I say, the plethora of services that Snowflake provides. I think it's an awesome platform for us to kind of work with and coexist.
Great to hear. And Tomas, from your standpoint, I know you mentioned Snowflake's involvement earlier, but anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, so you're going to like this answer. Snowflake is the central point of our knowledge, of our data storage. Everything is stored there. It's a single source of truth there. So besides that, we are actually building our data products. We also have the business intelligence data there stored and prepared. And we are creating a data mesh and domains around it. And of course, filling our BI tools. And mentioning AI in the context of this, I am really enjoying the comeback of semantic layer as a fuel for the AI And currently we are under a development of various chatbots that are able to get data from Snowflake, get the semantic context data, and provide users answers by just natural language queries. So really proud of that, and hoping to finally see first a self-service BI.
You're absolutely right, Thomas. Music to our ears and the AI buzz is all around us. From your collective seats, how do you see AI impacting your long-term data and business objectives? Thomas, let's continue with you.
Right. So if you don't mind, I would start with actually improving the existing operations. What we did is that we are combining our classic machine learning models and with the power of AI. So we're blending these two worlds together, and we're building the new models faster with the help of AI. So for example, AI is classifying the pictures for us, which in history it had to be done by people, right? So we classify pictures, or we generate vocabularies by AI, and then we use this data to be as a trained data sets for training for our classic machine learning models. This is cheaper and faster time to market. So that's the current operations, right? As the language models and the pure generative abilities, we already have some products built on top of that. So imagine you're interested in the car in Sweden, right? We have contractors all around Europe, so they perform the check like 260 points to
Right.
checklist, on site, and give you all the data back, and we are processing them and using this AGI to actually gather all this data, look up the VIN number of the car, etc., combine that together and prepare like a final message for our customers and a recommendation whether that is good or not. So that's like what we are already doing right now with the AI. What is in the future? AI agents. Imagine AI calling to the dealership in Sweden in Swedish and checking, for all the details necessary. I'm really looking forward to this.
An exciting next chapter. And Andy, from your perspective.
So I think anytime we talk about AI and generative AI, it's a big subject. So if I just narrow down on kind of the intersection between data management and AI, or generative AI, I should say, I think we can look at that from two different perspectives. I think we can look at it from data management for AI, and we can look at it from the perspective of AI for data management. And if I just kind of explain those, data management for AI, I think is going to become the really big topic over the next 12 to 18 months. So whether you're training a model, whether you're fine-tuning a model, whether it's a RAG-based architecture, you're essentially needing to get the context for the model correct. And so making sure the right data is fed into the model is kind of critical. There's a number of research papers that people can look at on the internet that describe the processes that some of the larger organizations have gone through. And typically we see somewhere like 30% of the original data actually makes it into the context of the model. So we have to distill that 30% from our data. And if we're an organization and we're looking at internal data, we're going to have the same challenge. We have to figure out what 30% is relevant and appropriate and doesn't have ethical problems and it doesn't misrepresent and all those questions. So data management around finding that 30%, I think, is kind of going to be the real focus area as over the next period. And I would suggest that this is actually another I don't want to say a plug, but almost another driver for this idea of getting people in the lines of business, in marketing, in finance, in operations to be more responsible for the data because they understand the data better than anyone else. So they can determine and distill that 30% that is actually going to end up making it into the model. Then switching it around a bit and thinking about AI for data management, I can see a near future where essentially we have tools where we log in and they say, I have built you a pipeline. I've built you a pipeline that gets some data from some source systems in your environment, brings that data into Snowflake, perhaps applies some enrichment, some transformation, perhaps use maybe a generative AI model as part of the process. And I'm going to build let's say an output dashboard or an output table. And the system is going to do that, and it's going to suggest to you that here's a thing that you may want to use, you may want to test, you may want to put into production when you log in. And so I think we're going to move away from, quite frankly, a lot of the drudgery, well, I call it drudgery, but the kind of infrastructure-y stuff that data engineers do, towards a place where a lot of that is done for us. We build a pipeline, as I say, and this goes far beyond, let's generate some code, the kind of a lot of the Copilot things that we have today, to a place where, here is a new pipeline. Do you want to, confirm the output? Do you want to check this? Keeping a human in the loop, I think we're going to be there for a while. And then automatically deploying that and making that a productionized system sort of really quickly. And so the data engineers can step away from a lot of that work and start thinking about what I would call higher value activities, where they're looking for new opportunities for innovating with data across the organization.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and insights. It's a pleasure having you on Data Cloud Now here in London at Snowflake's World Tour.
Thank you. Thank you very
Likewise.
much for having us.
And for the audience watching, I'm Ryan Green with Data Cloud Now. We'll see you soon.